Good morning, YouTube. Today, technology is the name of the game. We are partnering up with this facility called Golf Tech in order to essentially provide some instruction, provide some coaching, my foot, from a technological standpoint, basically in order to analyze my swing and get it to perfection. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Let's go ahead and hit some shots and see where we're at.
Oh, man.
So right here, address is actually pretty solid. One small thing, so our tour average shoulder turn here to address is 8 degrees open. Okay. So if this is 8 degrees open, you're about 10 degrees open. Okay. So we just need to move that left shoulder a little bit more close, kind of feel like it's a little bit more to the right. So if my shoulders are too far open here at address, my arms are gonna swing more out to in on that downswing. If I'm a little bit more closed there, you're gonna be a little bit more in to out on that downswing. So okay. If you look here, we can see a little bit of like his shirt collar there, a little bit of that left shoulder where we can just see mostly the back of your right shoulder. Small little change there, but should just give you a little bit more on playing to start. You're a little bit squatting kind of back in the heels a little bit, standing a little bit taller with the legs, bending a little bit more at the hip. We don't need you bending anymore, just straightening the knees a little bit and getting the butt out, sticking out a little bit. So you're kind of here,
yeah,
where we want you a little bit more like that.
Gotcha.
Perfect. So as we watch the takeaway here, we want the hands moving. We're pretty much staying on that lower plane line. Club head should be moving right along that plane line, right up until it gets behind the hands there. Yeah. Not a lot of movement going on. This shoulder moved down in that direction, a little bit of flex in that left knee, but other than that, just really turning the shoulders to get the arms and clubs moving. Mm-hmm. So as we watch your takeaway, hands move out, up and out a little bit, and that gets that club head moving outside right away. So from this position, we're gonna have to pull that club over the top of the shoulder, kind of going back that way. And that is hurting our shoulder turn there as well. So we wanna be about 44 degrees and 20 degrees turned. So you're basically just kind of lifting, the hands going out that way, where we want to be turning the shoulders to get the hands moving.
That's how I was looking like a week ago.
Okay.
And then I guess in one of my lessons, the guy was kind of saying like, you want it so it's like up, and then you could be able to like flatten it, and so that would help it. I don't even know. Again, like I'm so new to all this.
Yeah.
But
so we actually tend to go back a little bit flatter, and then we get steeper on the downswing. So what you're doing is essentially coming back steeper and then flattening on the downswing. There are people that swing in every different manner. The majority of people are bringing it back a lot flatter and then getting steeper in the downswing. For a lot of reasons, that's going to create a lot more power and a lot more consistency there. We want to get you turning a lot earlier now so that we don't have to do a lot of motion up there at the top of the backswing. So we want to be turning back here in address, see where that shaft is on that lower line.
Yes.
And then here at impact, you see how the hands in that shaft are on the upper line?
Yeah.
So they move from there up to there.
Yep.
So that's us getting steeper, but that's definitely not coming down over the top in any way, right?
Gotcha.
So we are steeper, but we're not swinging over the top.
Got it.
So as we continue up here, this is where we want to start moving a little bit steeper, right in through there. We get the hands right in that lower kind of bicep range. For you, we're getting the hands kind of out in front of the chest right there. And again, we're not quite turning as much as we want. So hips have started turning better. Shoulders, we want about 77 degrees there. The feeling would be trying to get that club a little bit more back behind you earlier on in the swing, where you're keeping it a lot more out in front of you there. Right. And then as we move up to the top of the backswing, we get the hands finishing just kind of behind the shoulder and a little bit above, a few inches above the shoulder there. So you end up getting to a pretty decent spot here, almost the same position as we're seeing here on the right. But the way you get there, and then the way we continue moving from there is in the right sequence there. Yeah. So you can also see that it's shifted your head a little bit down that way. So as you bring the club out here, as you go this way with the arms, that's pushing your head kind of down and forward. Yeah. And so that's why we're seeing the head drop a little bit there and kind of get out of posture slightly. So as we start the downswing here, we're gonna see on the right, we're initiating that motion with the hips turn back towards the target. Arms or hands kind of drop that way. Chest is still turned back towards us pretty much. So he's separated those hips and the shoulders to start creating that power. As we watch your move from there, you do a pretty good job of dropping the hands in there. You really have to kind of tilt that shoulder under based on the way that you're going, where if you look at his right shoulder, it's externally rotating, where you're basically trying to drop the hands this way while keeping the shoulder down there. See how that stays back like that? Go up to the top. Now try and go down. So you can't push that shoulder into that. So you would need to externally rotate that and let it drop, almost like you're skipping a rock.
Oh.
So you're swinging down with your shoulder like you're trying to chop wood.
Yeah.
When we want to be shallowing like we're about to skip a rock there.
Okay.
See how that club had more lags behind his hands and he's pulling?
Yeah.
Right through there, kind of pulling it down. If you watch your club head, it pushes out away from you and gets outside of the hands. So that is all in that shoulder movement there compared to there. We're sliding forward and rotating with the hips to get to that position, and we do want to start bending back right around impact. I can understand how it would feel that way, like we're gonna just fall back away from the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing it correctly shouldn't feel quite like that. So
that's on me.
Yeah. The other thing too is you can see you're really lifting that foot in the downswing, which we want to be essentially like we're throwing a ball, pushing off of that right foot in the downswing. So if you lift that foot like that, it's gonna be really hard to push towards the target, right? Keeping a little bit more ground contact, we can see here a little bit of that heel and foot or lifting. And I'm not saying you need to keep that right foot completely flat, but somewhere in between completely flat and where we're at, just to allow that foot to be used to drive forward a little bit more. And then as we get into impact here, so you can see now we've pulled our hips in the downswing a little bit, so that's caused us to lose any space between the body and the ball there.
Yeah.
So now we're not able to kind of tilt and create a lot of extension there in impact, compared to Badly here on the right, where he's got a ton of space to create that extension and really create power there.
Gotcha.
And then from there, his thumb is swinging more out to the right that way, and yours is pulling more right across the body. So you get to a pretty good finish position out over the left foot, but it's gonna be hard to really finish that swing when that club path is coming straight across your body that way. This is gonna be like a fire hose information today, where we're going through essentially everything. Each lesson will be broken down into, all right, we're working on your hip sway today, and that's all we're really focusing on for that day. So as we start the takeaway here with Ricky, as he goes back, again, not a ton of movement. We get that shoulder moving down and in, a little bit of flex in that knee, but mostly it's really the shoulders just turning the arms again. As we watch over here, so you actually do a really great job with the sway here. Again, the turn was the area we were doing great at, and you can definitely tell from this position, your shoulders are quite a bit less turned than his are. As we continue up, this is where we want to continue seeing that turn, and then we start hinging the wrist a little bit more. So at that point, you're in another solid position. You can see your upper body start to kind of go a little bit more towards the target. So you definitely sway a little bit more with that upper body going.
And we want
to the backswing
this way-ish.
We want to keep it fairly neutral. Ricky's head, if you actually watch by the top of the backswing, has moved a little bit down in towards the target. So it's not that we have to keep it completely still. your balance is starting to get a little bit too far going to the left there. And then as we get to the very top of the swing, you'll see Ricky kind of shift more of that weight onto that left side, and that's the very top of that backswing. So his head has moved from there to there, and as we get up to the top, then your head kind of starts moving back. So as your shoulders keep moving that way, basically gets to the point where it starts forcing your head back in that direction again. So we're at a pretty solid position here at the top. Your head's moved a little bit back that way with the shoulders a little bit too far towards target. So we'd like to see it a little bit more where, if anything, the hips are a little bit closer to target at the top than the shoulders. As you're going back, the shoulders go back and the hips would stay this way a little bit more. So kick your hips a little bit and then like that. You feel how there you're more kind of like that versus like that.
So it's more like this.
Yeah.
Got it. And then basically coming down to here. That's just through.
Yeah. So as we start the downswing, we want to bump the hips towards the target and start opening them. So as we move the hips that way, it's forcing our shoulders to start tilting more to the right. So that's where we see that club start to drop a little bit more that way. As we watch you, your whole kind of upper body above here moves kind of all as one right through there. Again, if we go back and watch Ricky's movement, the head stays relatively still for that whole movement there. You can see everything kind of moves together with you. So definitely want to keep that head a little bit more stable and we're trying to tilt and turn around the spine. We're a little bit collapsed already at the top of the swing, and then it causes you to collapse a little bit more right and through there. So again, not a ton of space to move in there. And then as we get further down into the downswing, you can see we're still even tilting further that way. So now postures drop down that in that direction. We're getting closer to the ground, so that's gonna create a lot of issues in impact. You do a pretty good job maintaining that hinge. You can see you could do a little bit better holding that off right and through there, but pretty good position. And then as we get into impact right in there, just really kind of crammed up. Yeah. Same as we saw from the other position, you just aren't creating a ton of space, and it's gonna be hard to get the extension without space, and it's hard to get power without the extension there. So you can see your head is way back away from where we started, where again, his head is pretty much in that relatively same spot. And then as we finish, we're getting through there. So I want to work on our setup a little bit, and then that takeaway, get that kind of on that right plane. Let's go ahead and get set up like we're about to hit a shot here. Main thing was going to be a little bit less knee bend, stick the butt out a little bit.
Is it so it's like?
So that's good there. And then I want this shoulder back. There we go. So go ahead and take a swing like that. All right, so not a huge change that we made right there, but you can definitely see we're standing a touch taller right there. Shoulders look a little bit more closed than they were, but either way, posture looks a lot better, right? Standing a little bit taller. Yeah, so the one we see here on the right, shoulders are definitely back a little bit more. You could hold them back even a little bit more if you want. We don't want you super rigid there in the dress, but so go ahead and get back into the setup position. I want you to feel like you're keeping that V completely intact. And I want you to just feel like you're turning the shoulders until the club hits the needle here.
Pretty okay.
There you go. Do that for me again. Oh. Okay. One more time. Okay. Go ahead and hit a ball like that. Just try and keep that takeaway the same there.
Ooh, that looks straighter. Nice shot.
That shoulder turn is now at that 8 degrees, so that's now green. So good job there. Posture's looking pretty solid there. And then as we watch that takeaway, All right. Moving still a little bit more to the outside. We're getting a touch more shoulder turn. On this next one, I want you to do that same move. I want you to feel like that right hand's moving a little bit more, or your left hand is pushing a little bit more toward your right hip on that takeaway, okay?
So like farther in.
Yeah. Feel like the hands are moving inward a little bit more. All right. So firstly, we're gonna see that shoulder turn is now in that green where we want it. Posture is looking great here. So as we start the takeaway here on the left, that's our original swing, way to the outside, and move it more away from the body there. We watch the takeaway here. Everything's staying pretty much right on plane to that point. We could still use a little bit more shoulder turn. We're definitely getting more hip turn in there. So 100% times better here on the right as far as our posture and plane goes. And then that gets us moving a little bit more inward. Now I got the hands through the bicep rather than covering the chest there. We could still use, again, a little bit more shoulder turn there, but a lot better position. And then up here at the top, we get to a nice ball turn right there. We're ultimately trying to create like separation between our hips and shoulders. The tour average shoulder turn is 88 degrees. Tour average hip turn is 44. So we're really close with both of those, still in that tour average range. Hips, half of what the shoulders are in the backswing. That's all we're really trying to do there. You're a little bit slower getting there with your shoulders than you are with the hips, but so the timing is a little bit off. But overall, we're getting to a good spot here at the top. You're maintaining the posture better and that head position better. Good work. Let's do that again. We want to keep that left arm straight. That left wrist does bow. You were saying like bow down. We don't, I mean, that's way too much wrist flexion there. It's like maybe like that we're talking about right there in impact. So it's more of just like a little bit of flexion. We're not trying to have that wrist. I mean, if you did that, you see how close that club face gets?
Yeah.
So we're just doing that to help close the face if you locked it attached. So it goes flexion to extension, back into flexion and impact.
Oh.
So like for this last shot, the yellow line that we're seeing there, we started right and then went farther right. So like that is going to be an open club face where the path is more out to end in the face at that time. So ideally what we're trying to create at this moment would be, so we want to push it out to the right and then draw it back. So that's going to be an end-out path with a slightly open to target line face, slightly close the path face. So essentially we're trying to hit it out to the right and bring it back to the left, which when we're watching you, your path is more, you gotta pull it that way, and then we're gonna, with the open face, it's gonna start out. So we want to swing out in that direction and have the ball come back this way, and you're swinging over in that direction, causing the ball to go over that.
I see.
All right, so that's a wrap for this video. Drop a like if you stay this long. I always appreciate it. Stay tuned because there's a lot of great teachings coming in. We're implementing all this technology into this process as well to be super precise, so I'm excited. And with that, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.